All right. All right, I think I'm live now, finally. The computer did not want to cooperate, or the internet. I'll let everybody get in, and then I'll get started. So those of you watching the replay or the recording, you might want to fast forward just a little bit. Hey, Jean, love your haircut. Turned out cute. The internet was being difficult. It would load pages. Hi, Kat. No, I couldn't find you on, I was going to include you in my tweet, and I couldn't find you on Twitter. Hi, Deb. So I either I don't follow you or I don't know your Twitter name. Oh, I've had to do that before when I want it real short. Hi, Ian. Hi, Lori. I didn't know if you'd be around today or not with all the, is the wedding over? Hi, Barb. All right, so for those of you who weren't here yesterday, what we did was you took a 4x12 canvas and we painted it with acrylics. Then we did some stencil work on it in acrylics and let that dry. And then we took masking fluid and put masking fluid all over the canvas in a pattern. Let that semi-dry. It was still tacky to the touch in some places. And then I put black craft paint. I tried to spray, but that was too thin. So I used this black craft paint and it's dry. So now we're going to do the reveal. Now I started yesterday just a little so I would make sure it would work. So I'm going to keep that covered up. So all I did was take my craft knife and get it. I can see the masking fluid and grabbed an area and pulled up. And then kind of like taking it off. I just rubbed. And I will tell you, it was easier last night when I was doing it. And this will take a minute or two probably. I'm going to, and I'm not going to worry about if the paint peels a little bit in places or it's not neat. Let's try. And those of you watching the, yeah, if you just get an area and start, this is a piece of rubber that's meant for lifting and cleaning this kind of stuff. I don't know if it's faster with my finger. I think it goes a little faster. I did link in the description to yesterday's video one of the soap videos. It's not the video I originally watched. There's several of them. But he did a really good job showing how to do it with the soap. And he used spray paint. Now, the good thing about spray paint is it would dry pretty fast. Yeah, I think once it has varnish on it too, the colors will really pop. I should have peeled some of this last night and kept it covered. No, this isn't riveting to watch. And if you can get a piece going, just go with that piece in the direction. Okay. Work my way across. There's not a lot on the sides. I saw that, Jean. I guess I didn't even know that she wasn't married. I mean, I just assumed she was married. I didn't know. Married or not married, I never. There was a cute picture on Instagram of him proposing in Paris. Okay. About halfway there. The rubber eraser thing helps with the skinnier ones, I will say. And I'm pushing pretty hard on it. And there's not any eraser texture left over here. Oh, okay, Jean. I didn't never really thought about it. This is a workout on your arm. Hey, Kimberly. We're almost all the way there. Now, my canvas has some other texture that you might see, and that's because it had a layer like of deli paper on it or napkin. All right, let me pull this one to me and I'll get this last little bit. Almost just gone. There's just. Okay, I think that's it. So what I'm going to do is we'll lower the camera a little bit. There's an update on the camera and I need to remember to install it. Always think about it when they tell me when I'm streaming. All right, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to take a black Posca paint pen. Or some such tool. May not be Posca actually. And I'm going to go in and like you can tighten or straighten up areas. Like right here at the junctions. Still finding little bits of rubber here and there. Anywhere you think it didn't come out clean. Like this got kind of lost in there. Where two lines overlap, it just makes it a little neater. So like I'm going to go right here. And see how that's a little more distinct now? So now I'm going to go over here. And you might find more areas where there's still masking fluid. So that sort of straightens up those areas. And you just kind of follow the lines. I didn't like that one, so I'm going to pull it back. Let me get a piece of baby white. I may need to put the camera in even closer. Let me see how much closer we can go. And I'm just going to work on an area at a time. That's it. I'm going to focus on this end down here. Let's see. Okay, my camera's also trying to. Not focus on something. And so some areas it's pretty confusing with like a lot of strings. So I'm just doing a couple little circles to make it look like there's dots maybe, or there's a knot in there. And you could just leave it as it is. Depending the pattern you put. Now, if you use masking fluid with a brush, you could go through a stencil too. See, there's some over the edge that was missed. probably won't worry about the edges so much. But more where it's kind of fatter and out of control. Just think it looks better. Just kind of putting points back in is really so you get the idea. I'll probably sit and fuss with it while I'm watching TV. I do think that I don't think I would use craft paint for your bottom layer. The only reason I say that is I'm not sure the masking fluid would come off the chalky texture. I think it came off pretty well because the acrylics, the heavy body acrylics, have more binder in them, so they have more of a plastic feel when they dry and less of a chalky texture. But definitely want to do a bright color that's going to pop against the black. You could do a stencil and you would see more of, like, you don't see a whole lot of the stencil work that I put into the bottom layer. You see it here and there in the, obviously you see it over here. It's just in dark and light over here. I would say that if you do stencils on your first layer of paint, then you want to definitely pick something with a smaller scale. But when you do your overall layer of the masking fluid, that you should do it in a bigger scale, probably. But it's definitely an easy project. I think spray paint would have made it even easier. Well, welcome Forever Purple Creations, Laurel. Just a second. thumbs up for a project for me. I thought it was a simple way to get an abstract fun canvas. I think it would even work with rubber cement. And I may try that. I have some rubber cement in the studio. I may try that another day where I have another little canvas. We might do a little canvas and then put a pattern with a stencil and use rubber cement, the little brush on the rubber cement, and then just do the black. I don't have spray paint. Yeah, I did the first part on the yesterday's stream. So let it dry overnight. And then we just used our fingers and a little tool to help us remove all of the layer. And then the last thing was just kind of straighten up any edges with a paint pen. And so I definitely think it will really pop when we put that layer of varnish on it. It will make it even brighter. This is a semi-gloss. And that will be my last step, is just to put a layer. And you can see how dull, and that will make it brighter. I would definitely, this is one I would use a gloss. I don't have any high gloss, so I'll just have to use a semi-gloss. Yeah, it really brightens it and brings back the vibrancy to the black. And this is just Deco Arts DuraClear, cleans up with water. We'll back the camera out in a minute. And we'll work on the next project. It's about finishing projects today, I think. And I'll let that dry, and I might fuss with the black a little bit here and there more. But here's what I put on it. Deco Arts DuraClear Satin Varnish. Now they have a high gloss, which I like better. All right, let's back out the camera. That will be enough. You won't be able to see the whole canvas. So let me move this. Let it dry. Almost dropped it. That would be no good. All right, so this is the canvas that I'm going to put the turtles on. There's our little friends. The turtles were put on drawing paper, underpainted with craft paints, and then Prismacolor pencil for those of you who didn't watch the first video. I think that's my placement that I want. So what I'm going to do is attach these with the gel medium of your choice. I go through this stuff by the gallons. And I have already washed this canvas to get the silicone off of it. But That being said, there's very much a potential that there's still areas with silicone on them. So I will give the entire canvas a layer of the gel medium. It just varnishes better that way. It also gives a layer between the varnish and the actual painting. Not that I think anybody will be restoring this in years to come. I'm just getting this top area. It's not on camera, but it's just paint and gel medium. And I still have my push pins in there because it's just easier. Let that sit up for a minute, and then I'll come back over it. I'm just doing the bottom of the canvas right now with the gel medium. Now you can paint straight on the canvas, but I just don't like to do that. I prefer to use this approach because I can preview it. You know, like I did the original pour canvas and I didn't like the turtles once they were colored on the pour canvas, so I repoured and used slightly different colors. If I had painted, then I would have had to just backtrack and probably repaint, just restart all over. But I didn't have to start the turtles over. So I could try them on the different canvases and see where I liked them. So it's one of the reasons why I like this method for the people who are watching, because they do pour art and they want to embellish. So let's let that dry just a little bit. I'm going to pull some markers, and I'm pulling pit markers, which are India ink, and they're permanent when they dry. I'm going to get my browns, a gray and a black, and a couple greens, a teal. Now, the markers work like regular markers on paper, but if you use them over gel medium, you have some time to move them around and give them a painterly look. Before they dry, and then I do put another coat of gel medium before I varnish it, so that that India ink is trapped and it's not on the surface and it can't be scratched. It's raining in Baltimore. Well, do they go out? Well, I don't know if they're supposed to go to Patty's for a barbecue tonight. So they'll just be inside, obviously, at Patty's house. And she already had a contingency plan for that, like that Dave could grill, but everybody else would be inside. I think one of the girls might be in a covered area. I bet these can be used on metal and they won't rub off. But you would still have to seal it. But I would use like a spray varnish probably. Like a clear rust protection type seal. You use these and they rubbed off? An alcohol marker won't rub off, Jean says. I don't know. I've never worked on metal. I know that on Society 6, one of the new things they've offered is the artwork on metal. Like in the shop when I'm loading pictures, one of the things you can order is artwork on an etched metal. What are you trying to put markers? What are you trying to put? Are you trying to label on something like metal? Eileen, what are you trying to do? I know Sharpie can be used on ceramic and then baked, and it won't come off supposedly, but it came off the car, so eventually if it was washed enough, it would come off. All right, I'm going to turn the heat gun on real quick and just dry these. You have any brushes and you want the stencil brushes? Do they have a metal handle? Okay, so now what I want to do is I'm just going to come in and enhance and shade and kind of brighten them up in places. This is a brighter yellow. All right, and then there's a couple places that it actually had kind of teal coloring. So I'm just using a light teal. And if you get something you don't like, you can wipe it back with wet baby wipe. I just got in an area I didn't really want to get into yet. Okay, I'm going to focus on the two big ones first of all. Let's zoom the camera in a little more. I'll work on this little fellow more. I'm just going to hit some of these. I'm not really going to rub or touch that a whole lot. I actually think I'm going to drop down a shade. I'm just using my fingers to kind of blot it. I was surprised when I was coloring these how much they're like giraffes in their pattern and how the pieces, it reminded me of when I did the paper piecing on the giraffe. All right, and I need to find a marker that's reddish brown. And I have another one that I want to get out. I just want to make some of these colors pop again. And that is wet, so it will dry slightly different. And I'm kind of working my way down so I don't with my fingers like I usually do. I'm using the yellow marker to do more of the blending. Okay. Okay. We'll let that kind of dry and set those three apart. And come in with a lighter teal. Okay, then I'm going to come in with a little bit of darker teal in some places. All right, and then I'm going to take a paper towel and I'm just going to lightly, not going to move it, I'm just going to kind of blot it And I'm going to take a pen. All right, I'm going to take my glasses off to do this. I'm just trying to go over the shell lines. They're really hard to see in the light. Okay, just about done. All right, and then I'm going to take that same paper towel and just kind of soften it. It's pretty much not going to smear at this point, but it'll lightly blend. All right, and then I'm going to take him and I'm going to take a dark gray and go under his body and pull out. Try this. I'm also going to put just a little bit of gray right here. I'm just going to build up a shadowy, like he's got a shadow under him. Okay. I'm going to call him done. And let's go to finishing his shell. Thanks, Dot. Alrighty. So I'm going to kind of do the same thing. Put some yellow on there. Put some of that dark. This one had almost like a sunburst pattern that showed up. Put the lighter color. I think I'll take that yellow. And blend. Now I'll have to clean my marker because it's definitely going to be polluted. And I just do this on my hand till I get the color. All right, let's come in with the lighter turquoise. Okay. And I'm going to come back with the pen. And every once in a while, I got to clean my pen off because it gets like gel medium built up on it. Okay, I think that's. And I'm gonna blend that just a little and soften that. All right, let's put some shadow under this little guy. This is a darker gray I'm using right now. I'm going to switch to the other gray. Oh, that was close. Grab the turquoise. I think that's enough of a shadow underneath. So it gives a little bit of an impression of depth that you're looking down. All right, little turtle left. Here, I'm going to turn him. Actually, I'm going to turn it upside. And I'm going to clean my hands off with a clean baby wipe to make sure that I'm not putting dark gray and black browns on. He's obviously a juvenile, so he just has some teal and gray. So I'm going to start with some in a few areas. And then I'm going to come in and clean up a little bit with a lighter gray. And then I'm just blotting with my finger. And then I'm going to take a wet baby wipe, a dotting tool, just a little stylus. And I'm going to wrap the baby wipe. Use that to pull back in some areas. Happy with his little skin now. Put a little kind of a lime green in here. And a little darker green. And then there's some lines in gray. There's these areas that are kind of darker. Okay. I think he's pretty good. Give him a little more pronounced eye. And there's a couple areas where I want to put some like Posca. There's actually a all right, and then I'm just going to come back with okay. Give him a little bit of a shadow. But not much. Kind of widen that with that lighter gray. Not going to show up as much because it's in this dark area. Okay, I think he's realistic looking enough. All right, I'm going to put all these markers back, caps on them. I'm going to go back the camera out so you can see the whole canvas. But I hope that helps the people on Facebook that were unclear of what I was doing to get my collages to look the way they do. All right. Back the camera out. I'll need a coat of gel medium and then a coat of varnish. That's as far out as I can go, but that gives you the bottom. So I think I'm going to sign down here. Kind of let my signature. Actually, I'm going to wipe that off and try that again. I want to follow the curve of that. I'm trying to follow the curve of this pattern. I think I want to give it more of a curve. So can you sort of see how it's behind the turtle? There's a dolphin. You see a, is that what you're talking about right up here? You see a dolphin in the wave? Is this what you're talking? So like I said, what I'll do is this exposed the ink, and to make sure that the ink can't eat off. You use the paper, the less you can feel it when you touch it. For the people who are in that Facebook group, it's called Look What I Did to My Pour. It's an acrylic pour group. And I'm not sure, maybe too soon. I'm not pulling on my signature. I'm going to let that sort of sit and then just lightly brush over it, because the Posca will move if I go too soon. Oh, I have new internet though. We have a new router. I hope we're not going to start getting buffering at my house, because I've had good internet, but we were having problems. So we switched routers and DVRs. So I'll let that dry, and then I'll put a coat of the satin varnish on it when it's all dry. Been on about an hour and a half. I think it's YouTube today too, because I couldn't get on YouTube. I could get on other websites, but I couldn't get on YouTube. It kept telling me it wasn't safe, like it wouldn't load. It might load the first page, but then when I'd go to try to get to Creator Studio to get to the camera, then it would tell me that it wasn't safe and it wouldn't go there. So it could be their server is having problems. All right, let's watercolor. I need some water. So I'm just going to steal some from my spray bottle rather than leave the room. Put those to the side. Paper towels. I need my phone. And I was super indecisive about if I was going to watercolor today and what to paint. And then I found that I kind of liked my screensaver. You know, I have one of those screensavers that changes on the computer. So it's basically some sort of docking lighthouse. I don't know what it is. Some little round building in the shallows of the ocean, and there's a little mountain. It's mostly blues. So I thought it'd be a quick little watercolor. And this is just a self-healing mat. To secure my paper right now. And it's a little warped, but round brush, that brush. Grab an assortment of brushes. All right, and I am going to put a piece of tape for my water line right now. Actually, I think I'm going to make that go just a little bit lower. All right, and the first thing I think I want to start with is some browns. And I think that I'm going to, it's got like some rocks that are kind of above and under the water. And then there's this mountainy area right here. And I think I'm just going to kind of get those in. Get the paper wet just a little bit here and there. And then we'll do the ocean. And I'll sketch in probably with paintbrush, I think. Did not do a pencil drawing. Okay. I'm just going to grab some browns. Get a mixture going. And I'm not going to worry about it bleeding. Okay, let me get out my neutrals real quick and get some of this gray wet. And I'm going to get a slightly smaller brush. I'm going to make those into trees where that's bleeding. Okay, so I'm going to pull this up for just a minute. All right, now I'm going to take a clean brush and soften that. I'm not going to worry about where it's red. So much because it's going to be red anyways, and this is going to be where my side where my shadow is. Okay, and I'm picking up a little pink from my cup, I think, from the last time we were. I think that'll work. Okay. Some rock right here. Let me zoom the camera in. No, I don't want that. That'll work. Hi, Jillian. Okay, and there's coral here and there. And there's some kind of like coral or rock. It looks more man-made over here too. And then there's going to be a door. Let me clean this. There's a door in the building. And there's some little, looks like a face. Of course, pretty much almost every building. Like a walkway. And it's probably brick. Is what I'm pretty sure. Buffering. We have not had. out here and there. Put some gray in it. And then I'll probably come back in and darken it in some areas, and I'm just going to let it dry for now. Right. And there is here. And there's a shadow. Over on this side of the bill. Okay. And I'm just going to use a wet brush and try to lift. I use a different brush. Just lifting some of that side of the sidewalk out. To leave like a dark edge. Especially on this side. There's a little bit of a dark edge. Okay. Go back to the bigger brush. And I'm just using gray. I'm trying to put in some of these shadowy areas. It's weird. Oh, I guess it's green. There's algae or something in the water. Hey, hon.
Hey, but don't pay attention to me. Anything.
You want me to check my email?
No, I can't review. Yeah.
All right, give me a minute. I'm on my phone.
No, I'm sitting down. I'm only kidding, Meg. I'm messing with you.
Okay. Okay, let's go up into this mountain area is dry now. And I'm just going in with some of that same gray. And adding some dark areas. I just want to kind of pull back. Get that gray again. I think that's like a cave. Had like a little beach area. Okay, I think I'm pretty pleased with the texture of that. Blues. And I'm going to flip this upside down. And do the sky. Let me check the email that Bob wants me to check for. And I'll send him a message. Okay. All right. Do the sky. Am I good at wet? I'm going to avoid right up, right next to the roof. Okay. Blue. Right, then I'm just going to take a smaller brush and kind of get in those areas where the mountain is. And up next to that roof. Okay. Then I'm going to take, I think I want to take my baby wipe today. Soften it. Okay, and I'm just going to go back over that with the brush and soften it again. Not going for a cloud. I'm just going for it's darker in one area. Okay. All right. Let's get soften that. Okay. I like that a little better. And then I need a darker blue, less teal. Okay, a clean brush. And clean that again. Dry brush some of that in there. And across. Okay, I think I'm happy enough with that sky, and let's bounce out some of the color right in there. Okay, let's take the tape for the water off. Thank you. All right. I'm going to leave the building alone for a minute. I'm trying to prop my phone up so it'll. All right. So all of this is water. So what I'm going to do is take the blue from the sky that I have and add water to it. Actually, I'm just going to squirt the page. Get that wet. Not worry about the building yet. And I'm going to come in with that sky color. I want it more intense back here. And I went more blue-green over here. More by accident. But there is blue-green to this area of the water. So I'm going to add some of that. I'm going to come back with the more intense blue And I know my browns are going to bleed a little, but that'll help with the coral, I think. Okay, get this original color in here. Clean my brush. Go back to the teal. Okay, and I'm gonna take a dry paper towel, and I think I want to kind of lift some of that. And I'll come back in and hit these browns again. Okay. And soften that and let it kind of ombre down. Needs to be a more intense blue again. Down in here. And we're going to let nature do its course. And I'm going to hit that with the paper towel. Okay. And I'm going to get that gray back too. Get a blue gray going. There's some kind of shadows from something that you can't see. I don't know, maybe it's supposed to be clouds. Okay, go in with the gray. And a little bit of the blue. Soften with a paper towel here and there. Soften some of that. And put this shadow back in with the gray. Some of that blue went on my building, so I'm gonna try to reclaim it. There we go. I do like the bloom effect right here. That it just needs to be darker. In areas. Put my rocks back in areas. Thank you. All right. Now, I don't use white very often, but I think I need some white in here. Just to kind of bring those rocks back. There we go. Let's try that. I'm going to let that dry for a minute. Ugh. Oh, I don't want to delete it. I cannot get my phone to stand up, y'all. Okay, we need some green. There's some areas where there's like algae. Growing. It might be the reflection of the brick too. And I want to put a little bit of olive tone in on there as well. Back behind the cave. And then I'm going to come in also and add some more downward texture to the Okay, let's try this again. Now that this is probably try it a little bit more. And I added some gray to the brown to make almost a black. And it's just rocks piled. All right, I'm going to use that darker color here and there. In here too. And then I'm going to kind of soften that. Then I want to come in. And add the shadow back in where the greenery is. For that. All right. And I'm going to come in with some grays. And I may want some lavender too. So I want to wait on that. I'm going to get the red for the roof. And darken that just a little bit. With another little glaze of blue. There's some kind of ripple effect on this side. Okay, and I got a bloom in there. But you know what? I don't care. Okay. Well, I'm just playing. So it's really sort of just luck of the paint. Okay, let's get rid of the blues. I want to set that aside because there is some of that blue in case I need it. I almost wonder if I don't need to intensify the sky. I actually think I might want to do that real quick. I think I need to intensify. No, I'm done with the greens. I think I need to intensify this side. Oh, that was close. Of the sky. Well, we'll soon use up that. Okay, and then I'm just going to take a damp paper towel and kind of blend it. Just trying to soften it out with a wet, clean brush. Okay. That was not clean. Hey, Karen. Almost done here. All right. Putting the blue away. Calling the sky done. Gonna rinse my brushes real quick. I think I'm gonna even dump my clean water. It's blue. And let's get some fresh water in that cup. Okay, and I'm gonna go to my red purples, and I just splattered water on there. So I'll lift an area out. So it's not so obvious. All right. So let's go with kind of a brick red color. And then I'm going to add in, and it's a little pinky right now, but I'm going to this is not my final layer. This is going to be kind of my bright area. Okay, let's let that dry. All right, I want some purple gray is what I'm looking for. I want a gray with a little bit of a purple. So I'm going to grab some of the gray. And I'm going to grab some dark purple and add some water in there. I just did it again. I'm going to put more gray. Okay. I'm going to clean my brush. I hit too close to that red. Okay, and then I'm going to take some clean paper towel and blot and minimize that. And then let's get a clean brush. All right, and then I'm going to blot again. It's not white, so. want a hard edge on all of that. All right, and then I'm going straight gray. Need to darken that door again. And it is a step up, so it's not all the way down to that little sidewalk. And there's this thing on the side of the building. That I'm going to work on in a minute. It's kind of a weird shadow. I need to switch to a smaller brush, I believe. I'm just putting some of the imperfections. There's another like little window over here. All right, and I'm going to take a pretty damp brush and just sort of softly blend some of that back. Hi, Shauna. No trees today. Added a little bit of brown. And again, I want to kind of lighten that. It's from my Windows screensaver on my computer today when I logged in. I didn't know what I wanted to do, and there it was. Don't know where it's at. I don't like the face, so I'm gonna put it like a faint window over here too. Like there's windows all around this. I don't even know what it is. Something to do with a lighthouse or okay. So I'm just adding some darker shadows back in, some shadowy areas in the water. And I'm going to go back to my green with this gray that I have. I'll pick up a little of that green. And some areas darker than other. So I'm just trying to randomly put some green and some gray areas. And darken that shadow now that it's dry. Okay. Let's work on the roof. And let's get rid of the purple. And we need the rusty red color. Okay, and then I'm gonna go get rust and add it to that gray. All right, and I wanna, first of all, take it across this dark. Okay, and I wanna bring that around. And then I'm gonna blot it. Because I like the idea, but I didn't like the execution of it. All right, I'm gonna add more gray to the rust, get it even darker. Okay, I'm gonna clean this brush. And I'm gonna blend back again. And I got in the sky area. Let's see if we can lift that. It's not gonna matter in a minute because we gotta come in there in a minute. Let me dry it. All right, I think I'm gonna take a clean, damp brush, but not wet, and try to add more movement. Okay, and then my highlight area. I think that's, Elaine was here. Okay. So now there's this, I wonder if this creates power. There's this arm-like thing that's like a windmill. Can you see it on the side? I'm thinking gray. And then maybe even white Posca. Okay, and then the next one is like here. And there's a wire. And then there's one here, almost along the roof line. And that goes straight out. And this one goes straight out. And then there's one that comes right here. Let me go darker. And then it goes right here. I didn't do it, but there's a roof that comes here, like a roof line that comes out, but I didn't do it. It's actually not right. I didn't do the house quite right on this side, but it's close enough. Yeah, it's got some kind of wires, stringy stuff. It's definitely poles. I don't know what it is. But there's definitely a wire from this one down to here. And there's definitely something hanging off of this one. And there's definitely something hanging off of this. And a little bit here. And then there's a... Yeah, I don't know what it is. I don't know if it's a... I don't know what it is. All right, let's get the white Posca. I'm going to add that white back in here. And then I'm going to come in and hit some white on the rocks in here. That are the closest to us. And we'll put a beach back in front of that. Went blue again. Back in front of that cave. Clean my fingers. All right, and get that with the little. All right, and then there's these are actually a metal, so some more white back in some of that area. Okay, and then there's the reflection of the building in here. Okay. All right, trying to decide where I want highlights in the water. I'll hold this up just a second. I added current lines. Okay. All right, and then I want to come in with a little bit of gray and soften where I just put the Posca. Okay, I think I'm done. See, I kind of put like, because there's a current, like a ripple. I'm just going to soften. Some of that white. And got a little area that needs just a touch of blue. Up here in the corner, let me flip this. Okay. Okay, let's take the tape off. I don't know if it's going to get a mat or not. I'll figure out that in a minute. We'll decide. I don't think my tape was even. Okay. I'm pretty pleased with this one. I think they're getting better and better. And I'm ready to buy better paper now for the straight up watercolor. Not for the mixed media. I like this paper that I'm using a lot for the mixed media. Clean my brushes real quick. But I'm going to order some arches for just watercolor. I need to sign it. Where do I want to sign? Well, first of all, let's see if it would ever. It's one of those that's going to need. Yeah, for the mixed media, I can use the. I'm not putting as much layers of water on it. I'm putting gel medium on it and sealing it. And so the lack of cotton is okay. Bottom left near the rocks. See, I don't, like I said, I don't like that mat on it. I would want a bigger mat. I don't think I want it here because I like to go along or in something. So I need to think that if they, I'm tempted to go right in here and make it curve, like right off here. Yes, I mean, you're supposed to sign in the bottom right. Always, I like to kind of hide it in the watercolor or in the art so that it's not as obvious. So I'm going to put it where this green is coming off right in here. So that when you're looking at it, it doesn't like jump out at you. Yeah, it's not that I'm opposed to the bottom right. I just like to hide it more than always go to the same place. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, because like I considered up here dark. I also considered, but I wanted to make sure that if it was that the signature could be in the enclosed part. Yeah, that's just kind of my thing. I need a harder line. Okay, give me just a second, Shauna. Okay, so that's the watercolor. Let me back out the camera. Here is the turtle canvas. Don't swoon, Shauna. So let me hold it up and you can see up close. There's a glare, obviously. This white paint hits it, shows up as a real glare. So there it is, like in its entirety. So it's a 10 by 20. And then here was our experiment. And it's got a layer of finish on it. So I think this one turned out cute. It was just a fun little technique. I'll probably be picking pieces of off the sides. I don't think I got all the gummy stuff necessarily off, like where the drip were on the bottom. I think if I rub down here, yeah, if you rub down here on the bottom, there's still some drips from the frisket. Yeah, Jean, if you used, yeah, if you painted the acrylic and your stencils, put on the frisket or the soap. Now, if you use soap, you have to use spray paint, which you wouldn't want to do, but you could go outside and spray paint, possibly. That's faster with the soap. And then you put it in water and you rinse the soap off when the paint's dry. So. But yeah, you could easily use, now it does say not to use tempera, like use acrylic, don't use children's tempera paint. Yeah, they just use bright colors. I kind of wonder if rubber cement would work, because that would be cheaper than frisket. If you drizzled, like took a stick, like a chopstick, and you put it in the jar of rubber cement and you just let it drizzle. Thanks, Deb. Not Kim. I think you could, and then like you said, if you painted it, that's easy to dry fast. Then if you drizzled rubber cement, and it would dry faster too. But definitely you could let go eat and then come back and put on the black paint and have dessert. They could take it home with the black paint on it. They wouldn't have to rub it off at class. So put the rubber cement on, let it dry while you're eating, put the black paint on, have dessert, go home with it black, and then at home, rub it off the next day. That's how you should do it, I think. Paint it. You can dry with heat guns when you paint it. Rubber cement, use some kind of stick to drizzle it. Eat. Paint it black. Have dessert. Take it home all black. The next day, they peel it off. And you could have one done that you could show them how to peel it while they were eating dessert. Right? That would work for a class. And you could do, little canvas is fine. I mean, you could do like a little 6x6 or 8x8. This is a 4x12. I think it might have even looked better in a square format than a long. This is just what I had. That would be a fun class. Eileen is going to come take your class, Jean. She wants to see it. Yes, it does have a brush in the lid if you want it to like try to brush through a stencil. But you want a thicker, if you're going to do this, you want a thicker drizzle. So if you just took some kind of pointy stick, like, and let it on a stream to time it, paint it, drizzle the rubber cement, set it aside, do a watercolor, paint it black. See if how. Sometimes it tears. I think canvas paper is more expensive than small canvases. You can buy on Amazon little sets. That new company, Artisa, sells little sets of like 6 to a dozen. It's Arteza, Arteza. But on paper, it might tear because you have to be pretty rough with it to take it off. And I've tried rubber cement and painting over it on the jelly plate. Yeah, but the other thing you could do, Dot, is just take black paint through a stencil. I mean, you can get this. It's very similar to when we have Jen put the black on everything and then rub back through a stencil. But you could do the colors and put on a stencil and put black. It's that pop of color against the black. This is the thing about this is it's random when you drizzle it. Yeah, if they bring their own, just tell them to keep it small. And rubber cement is not expensive. I would not use I use my frisket because I need to get new I don't care for that frisket necessarily. Well, I'll tell you the other thing. I think this frisket would be better if it were on real watercolor paper. I think that the problem is this paper and the frisket. I think if this was 100% cotton cold press and I put the frisket, it wouldn't, I wouldn't have the problems that I've had. The problem is this paper wants to start. If you, like when I started working up here and over here, I felt like the paper was getting too wet and it wanted to pile up. I know that I want to go to better paper for straight up watercolor. And I'll just use that and I'll probably adjust my prices and make these cost more in my Etsy store than the other mixed media. Yes, I know, Jean. I should have bought, they had some, I could have got some frisket. The only thing I don't like about it in the bottle is I always have such problems with the brushes, but I'm going to try the Catalyst brush. Shaper is what I have one of these and I have it from when I did clay work. And I never thought about using it for the frisket. So I'm going to try using it with the frisket. The one that was on sale, I could have got a big bottle Liquitex for $2.50. But the problem was I even bought a brush for frisket. And that was a major pain. I used it one time and that was about it. That was about all the use I could get out of it. I don't even know if I have it anymore. I don't think I kept it. I think I threw it away. Now these also I've got a couple of these dot tools that are weird shapes. One of those might work for frisket too. Yeah, here it is. This is what I bought. But I didn't like it. It's called the Incredible Nib. And it's for frisket. And it's got frisket on it. But I could try it again. But I like the idea of using, I just may get a smaller one. So this one comes to a point. Oh, you can just pull the rubber off of it. Alrighty, folks. I think it's time for dinner. 7 o'clock here. I think I hear Bob in there pulling out roast. All right. And also, FYI, I go back to school a week from tomorrow. Next Tuesday is my last day of temporary retirement. So the streaming every day will stop. Yep, ugh. But 6 years. 6 years. Get this one done on 5 years. So I can do 6 years. I can do 6 years with our eyes closed. All righty.